Oh, goodness. Thank you. True story. Okay, let's go ahead and go over this. That way you can get back to what you need to be doing, or you can start the thing for today. So, and then Caitlin's freaking on it. So I'm so glad she's on it. I hope everyone else is that on it today. Your test was supposed to be Friday on equations and you are the best on equations and inequalities. However, you remember what happened earlier this week, and as to why it can't be Friday, because I didn't see some of your faces, which is fine, but it's fine. So instead it has to be Monday, because we have got to start discreting and discrete come Tuesday. So if for some miracle, knowing it did last period, but y'all are really on it lately. So if for some miracle you finish everything today and you want to go ahead and start the test review, that's tomorrow's problem, so tomorrow can be an easier day for you, just let me know, because I already have that review ready to go. There were other words. Caitlin reminded us this test is Monday, sadly enough. The review would be tomorrow. Today is the last day of inequality practice. Some did not finish their power pumpkin partner, well, a lot of these, multi-step equation inequality thing from yesterday. If you didn't finish that, you want to finish that first before you work on your color fish. You want to finish that first. And if you're not sure if you finished or not, let me put it to you this way. I know that Blake technically finished, and I really want to give Blake technically his points, but his partner was Tyler, and Tyler didn't technically finish, so Blake will get his points as soon as Tyler has finished. You and your partner have to finish. No, Tyler lacks like 2 things. He's going to have it done in like 3 minutes. I just want to point that out, that your partner needs to finish as well. Yes.
I'm only missing one.
Yeah, he's missing, that's what I said, he's missing one problem. Okay, so if your group got behind yesterday, I tried to give you a hint by giving you the answers. If I only gave like one person the answers though, so if you need the answers, come see me. Your power, pumpkin, partner, whatever, is going to go in the grade book this period, hopefully. So we would like to go ahead and make sure we're getting the good score for that. Okay, moving on from that. We've got this bell ringer, and as you know, on the way in, you picked up what looked like a nice day of a coloring activity. And it is a nice day, but it is, as with life, there is a tricky part we need to discuss before I let you go to town. While I say that, let me go ahead and talk about that tricky part now. Okay, so Forrest, he's pretty good. He's got, let's say he has the problem 2x is less than 4. He divides by 2, he gets x is less than 2. Everyone's cool with that? Well, that seems great. But we have this little coloring page today that then has different options. Like, if you get this, color it red. If you get this, color it black. If you get this, color it green. If you get this, color it yellow. Oh, crap, Miss Compton. I got x is less than 2. That doesn't exactly match any of them perfectly. So you might have to, I know we like to not read backwards. Our goal is to do it the other way. But you might have to backwards say, okay, if the 2 was in front, this technically would read 2 is greater than x, so for sure it's green. Or, again, process of elimination. I had a positive 2 in my answer, so I know it's not red. I know it's not yellow. Well, black looks wrong because I had less than 2, and this is greater than 2, and you might have stumbled upon it anyway. But just keep that in mind because life is tricky, so be careful. It would be smart, especially, I know, if you're an OCD person like me, it would be smart to ask me, hey, is number 2 really red before you go coloring all the number 2s red? I totally get you want to do that and make sure you're coloring things just so. I can tell that some of you are not colorers when you do not have to color if you do not want to color, but I should also tell you something you might not know about me. I tend to feel sorry for those who color because they put a lot of time into that, so I tend to give them bonus for it. So for instance, the coloring page that you have, I'm doing 18 points in the 30% category since it's taking up my class time. So if Caitlin colors and it looks good, I'm going to give her 20 out of 18. So she can get a little bonus out of me just for coloring in math class. This is why you took Discrete. This right here, because you like to color. If you are OCD further, I know that at one point it wants you to color gold. Yellow is sufficient. Or it says brown and you you do use light brown. I'm not that picky with the exact colorness the way my artist will be, which is my bad. Okay, and there's one other problem I want to discuss on the coloring page, because there are some tricky ones. So I wanted you, on the test and on the study guide, I do nice inequalities. But on this, I wanted you to see some tricky ones where the answer might be no solution or all real numbers. So for instance, there's one problem for, look on your little thingy. It says something like 6x minus x. 6x minus 6x. What problem is that?
That's number 11.
So is it 0 greater than? Okay, 0 is greater than 6x minus x. What's 6x? Okay, what is 6x minus 6x? 0. So is 0 greater than or equal to 0? Yeah. And then if you're like, Miss Compton, what do I put then? No solution or all real numbers? Well, any number I plug in, if I plug in 1, I would get 6 is minus 6, which is 0. If I plugged in 2, I would get 12 minus 12, which is still 0. So it's going to end up being all real numbers. Any number you plug in is going to work out. And so just be warned, there are some tricky ones on this coloring page. It will not be tricky on the test. It will be very straightforward. I just want you to have experienced it all before we move on. Okay, now to actually do the workshop for today so I can let you go to your work. The first one is 2a. What kind of function is this? Yes, ma'am. Brittany.
Linear.
It is linear, and your group gets a point. 2b. 2b. Yes, Royale. It is, and but its technical name starts with a Q. And that's what I'm looking for. So, but yes, the graph is called a parabola, so you can have a point for that. But he's right, the graph is called a parabola. It's useful to know in life. Okay, we get to 2C, and table 1's still in all the points today. Any other table? Oh, yes, Lauren.
Wait, is it square root?
It is the square root function. Square root. And your group gets a point. And then we get to 2D. Yes, Sarah. It is absolute value. And then we get to 2E, which is the hardest one for sure. But hey, you knew we were getting to this in advance, so surely you have the answer.
Can I guess?
Sarah, you guess first.
So I'm just saying, didn't you say we were going to do number 1?
Oh, we're going to do 1E in just a second.
So is it like?
It does? No.
If I gave you a hint, it starts with an R. Table 1 guessed it. I don't think they actually knew what they were doing, but we'll give them the point anyway. My teacher always called it a rational function. But after looking, I teach algebra and trig this year, and I taught geometry for years, so I'm out of the loop with functions and their names. But apparently at some point, it's like darn Pluto when they keep deciding is it a planet, is it not. Apparently at some point, the term rational was not good enough, and the textbook now calls this function the reciprocal function. Either way, it's an R. If you see an R, beware, it's probably got a fraction. Fractions, cool. Rational is what I call it, but maybe your teacher called it a reciprocal function. Ugh. Okay, and then Sarah is right. We've got to go deal with 1E. Does someone know? They either have it on their paper or they can show me with their hands what 1E looks like. Yes, please?
Isn't it like in the square goes like that?
And that is sufficient for me, ma'am, and you got your point. Okay, so before we go crazy, I got some extra points available on this one, though. There's a reason. I said most graphs yesterday, most parent graphs go through the origin, but this one does not, and there is a reason. Why does this one not go through the origin? Keep thinking, and so there's an issue. If you plug in 0, what's it called then? Okay, I got it. So I plug in 0, and that's a problem. What's that called?
No solution.
Undefined is correct. My gosh, Grant, y'all are on it today. And yeah, we would say we have no solution with this. So we're not going to hit at 0, 0. But if we plug in 1, that's easy. If I plug in 1, 1 over 1 is 1. If I plug in 2, 1 over 2, well, that's a half. 1 over 3, a third. 1 over 4, a fourth. 1 over 5, a fifth. And then I connect the dots. And your eyes may deceive you because I am not perfect. But We're getting closer and closer to that x-axis, but we're not actually crossing it. What is it called when we get closer and closer to something in math class, but we never actually cross it? There was a name for that. It starts with the letter A. My God, Grant. And you can have another point for that. It's called an asymptote when we get closer and closer, but we never actually touch it. We never actually cross it. Closer and closer, but we never get there. Okay, well, notice that we've left the graph blank between, I wish I could zoom in further, between 0 and 1, because something crazy happens between 0 and 1. And it's all got to do with that darned old fraction. If we plug in a 1/2, for instance, we would have 1 divided by 1/2. Well, that ends up being 2. So at 1/2, we actually go up 2. At 1/3, we actually go up 3. At 1/4, we go up 4. 1/5, we go up 5. And so forth. And the same curious thing ends up happening on this side of the graph. We're getting closer and closer to the y-axis, but we're not actually touching it. So we've got the point at 1, 1, and then otherwise we're getting closer to each axis, but we're not touching. And then Lauren already realized this, so she stole all the fun, which is good. That the same thing happens when we plug in negative numbers. We go to negative 1, 1, but similarly we're getting closer and closer to that x-axis, and we're not actually touching. We're getting closer and closer to that y-axis, but we're not actually touching. So it's the weirdest looking graph ever. And your mind wants to say it's not even a function because you want to say it fails that vertical line test. But technically, since no one ever touches that y-axis, they're just getting closer and closer to it. Even though it looks like it fails it, it technically never fails it. So darn 1E, that's a ridiculous one. No one likes that. That's why you forgot about it. Okay, are there, yes, ma'am. You should. Yes, you should. And I gave Tyler a point earlier for being alive, so you should be at 2. Because he did me a favor and passed some stuff out for me.
Oh, wow. You gave me a full throw?
Okay, so I did.
Am I getting like 3 points for bringing the cake?
You're already at 5. Oh my God. You should be.